welcome back to another Bothsides podcast. Today we've got a special treat. We have the number one agent in the country, Alexander Phillips.
Thanks for having me.
Mate, we really appreciate you spending some time. We know how busy you are. The first question I have for you, Alex, after asking people like Eddie Piddington and a few of your associates and friends, what would be the one thing you'd want to ask Alex if you could ask him? And the big thing that comes to mind is, how do you consistently have drive where people view you not just as a human, but almost like a robotic machine who can outperform people through thick and thin? Like the first place I'd like to start is, how have you built this incredible drive and sustained it long term?
Yeah, thanks again for having me. It probably comes from the upbringing that I had with my family and my parents. So my dad was a car dealer. His dad was a car dealer. It's probably come through the bloodline, like it's something that, it come through all my brothers. I've got 4 brothers and a sister, and we're all very driven. It's probably came from that upbringing, of a family. I think I was selling when I was 10 years old to get $2 to go up to get a bag of lollies or something from the corner shop. But it definitely came from that. I went, we were privileged. I grew up on the water in Woolwich in Hunters Hill, which is, an amazing spot. I used to go to Riverview College and used to go to school by boat every day. When I went to a school where everyone sort of knew what they were going to do, lawyers, bankers, or they were sort of told what to do. I had no idea what I wanted to do. My parents never pushed me, and I actually did a cooking class for at AGL, I remember, and a week of hospitality down in the hospitality school in Canberra. So I was a little bit lost on what to do, and then I went to Macleay College for a year and just fell into doing real estate, and I was very lucky. I fell into something that I'm passionate about, and I think unless you're passionate about what you do, and all the top 1% people out there, in sports, business, or whatever, you got to absolutely love it. I think that's what keeps us ahead of everyone else. Is that passion, drive. It's not like it's not a money thing. It's just about getting better and being the best. So I think a lot of it did come down from that from the family and having that also competition with brothers and sisters. I think from day one. So that's definitely something that I'm very blessed that we had that.
Was there ever a point in your life, Alex, where you had an event or a trigger or response? A lot of the people we interview that are super successful have either a traumatic event happen, or there's something that really sparks this drive. Was that the case for you, or was it more so finding a passion that really...
I probably, I really just just one thing that came to mind that sparked that was the sales meetings I had with John McGrath back at, it was McGrath Partners back then, 24 years ago. It was those... like that, just walking into that environment and energy, and I was like, shit, I really want to be a part of this. I want to, be involved in the best real estate company in Australia, and with the best agents. And that was probably something that sort of springs to mind. There was a couple of sales that I did when I first became an agent that also springboarded us into where we are today, being the market leader in this marketplace that we're in. Yeah.
How were you able to separate yourself from the number 2s and 3s? Because we've had a lot of really high performers and elite agents actually respond to our Instagram post saying, is Alex human or is he a machine?
Yeah.
And these are the best performers. What separates you from the other best performers?
What is it? 7:10 this morning. I've been in the office for half an hour. I've already set up on my day.
Wow.
I've been up at 4:00 planning my day. It's a hard thing to sort of put it like an exact reason on why we are, but that's, if you look at the guys that are 2s and 3s, they're probably not even half as the GCI rewrite is probably double anyone that's even close to us.
Do you mind sharing what that figure is?
Oh, I'd rather not. It's a lot though, but I think it does come down to the energy, the work ethic, the love of the game, wanting to be better than anyone, knowing that there's people chomping at the bit to try and take us over, and we just keep getting better. They think they're getting closer, but then we go a step ahead. It's so many different factors that keep us, I'd say, miles ahead of everybody. It's probably as well, like a lot of people come to us thinking, I've secured business this year where they're going, I'm going to meet Alex. I don't really want to meet him. He's going to be probably arrogant. He's a number one agent. Fuck, do I really want to be using this guy? Then they meet us, go, this guy's a real person. He knows his craft. He knows what to do, and I do want to use him because our biggest advantage over any competitor or anyone in the marketplace, and we see it all the time because we do a lot of conjunctions with other agents, is our process and how we actually get deals done and sell property. Like we've sold 6 houses this week. We've done about $30 million in sales, and our average days on market is about 4 days. We're just like, we know how to set up vendors, how to progress buyers, get the best buyers through, do the best buyer work, and make sure that we're getting the best results in the shortest amount of time. So some of most of our competitors use that against us, but that's our biggest advantage. People don't know how to actually progress buyers and close them out as good as what we do, I think.
So I understand that you as the lead agent are working these big hours. What's your team's hours look like? So, for example, Vince and your other guys, what hours are they kind of working?
The best thing is, and I'm extremely lucky that my team is like, the guys that work in my team are better than all the agents we compete against. Yeah. I'm now at a point where if I wanted to go away for 6 months, the business would run itself. As an example, we're selling the house that we're in tomorrow at auction. It'll be a great auction, and the neighbour next door we've got going on the market next week, which is worth around 20, called while I was away in Europe, and Vince went out there against the lead local agent and listed it over a local agent. So my team are so well qualified. Like there's Vince, Kenji, Gavin, Tom and Prue and me. We've got combined years of experience of 80 years. Wow. So in our team. So that's you can't recreate that. Like it's so hard to get. Like it's like the Chicago Bulls of the 90s, all working at the best at their peak day in, day out. There's not much leakage. We do because we do so much volume, but there's so I can leave these guys to do any part of the sale process. If I got hit by a bus or I was doing another transaction and something needed to happen on another house, it's the team is what makes us as good as what we are.
Something I'm pretty curious about, Alex, when you talk about team and a bit about your routine earlier on, you're up at 4, office at 6. Can you explain your weekly or daily routine for yourself and then the team as well? And the quality of expectation and standard you hold? Yeah,
I think a lot of it does come down from the top. Like everyone dresses well. There's no ego, no arrogancy. We're all very driven and working super hard. But so it does start. It starts. Our year firstly starts in October, so we start 3 months ahead. We stop listing in November, and we just start for the next year. So like all of our stuff is like months ahead. Like I've already booked the next 12 months of holidays, and or dates all the way through. So if you look at stuff like that, everything's so well planned out. And then if you break it down into granularly, my day starts, the day before. I get out my breakfast for the morning the night before. I've got my clothes out for the morning. I get up, I train, I have breakfast, I go have a coffee, socialise in the morning. I'm in the office, start making phone calls from 7 a.m. So yeah.
In terms of the way when you were coming up, what was your first few years as a sales agent standalone by itself?
I think I was very lucky. I worked with Pauline Goodyear at McGrath, and I had a few false starts where I got fired from jobs from property management.
As a main agent?
Yeah, no. So I started with Bethren Richards, who's an agent from the agency at McGrath. Worked for 3 months, got fired from her. Then I worked in the back end office at McGrath. So I used to do all the core logic reports for the agents. I actually delivered all the magazines. I was like a courier for like a year to all the offices. They used to have a magazine called Space Magazine. You used to have to deliver each week so the agents could hand it out. Then I was lucky enough, I went for a job with Pauline, who's like the number one agent at McGrath, second agent. So, for anyone starting out, there's a couple of things you got to remember. Is one, there's no short, quick path to becoming an agent, and you've got to work with a great environment and with someone that is going to give you like all the best traits of a real estate agent. I was lucky enough that I worked for Pauline for 3 years as an assistant. So, I did hard yards of that. Then we went and she started her own business. I was assistant with her, then became an agent, then a partner of business, and, sort of went from there. So, a lot of it came down to doing all the right things, from day one. Like, as an example, I sold a house yesterday in Bronte for just over 7 million. And I look back in my database, I met them 18 years ago.
18?
Yeah, and it was uncontested. But they get calls from like agents every week, and they're like, no, we're using Alex. We showed one buy through and sold it. But, that's because back then when I first started as an agent in Bronte, where we are sitting here today, that I cold called through CoreLogic the suburb probably about 8 times, the entire suburb. So then I actually built up a database from there, but then I actually made sure I nurtured that database, and that first phone call was a cold call, then the rest of it was warm calls like those guys I sold for. Like, it's, it was reaping rewards of what we did 20 years ago, but what we did 20 years ago we still do today as well.
Is Vince and Gavin, everyone else, are they touching your database as well, or is it just...
No, they've got their own databases. And it's like, we tried that once, like when I was away, saying, call my database. I go, why is Alex not calling me? They think you're taking the foot off the pedal.
Really?
Yeah, I'm still... Like this morning when I was at coffee, I was texting guys, we just sold one yesterday in Violet Street, Bronte, for 8.4, and I texted guys I know on the street, not like a blanket text, but individually, the result. Like, they want to hear from me. They know who I am. And like, I think the minute you do that, it looks like you're like now in the background. You don't really care, and that's one thing that why we're so far ahead of everyone. I think a lot of agents get to a level of doing 50 deals, 100 deals, they get complacent, and they rely on everyone else to do everything, like database calls and whatnot. None of my guys in the office are prospecting. None of them are doing cold calls or like, I've got a buyer for your house, can we show them through? They're all doing open house callbacks and cross-selling. That's all they do, because we've got so much volume, and that cross-selling and buyer work is what then you find a listing from that buyer once they buy. So, yeah.
Wow. So are you still, correct me if I'm wrong, calling your database on a consistent basis, bringing in the business, and then whatever business occurs through your list?
Yeah, that's all I do every day. Yeah.
Wow. So how many calls would you say on average?
Probably 150, I'd say. Yeah.
Still doing 150 or level.
Connects. Yeah, but that's also. I just say any calls are connect to me. That's how I see it. Like, we leave long-winded message. That to me is a connect. But like you got to remember, at the moment, I think this weekend we've got 35 opens. So like you're calling each vendor, you're negotiating, you're doing appraisals, you're following up. Like, it's not just database calls. There's 100 different things happening at once.
Yep. What are your non-negotiables for the day?
What I like eating right, and training.
Okay.
Because I think that foundation sets you up mentally for I train every morning. It's not at night. Like, it just.
What type of training is it usually?
I've got a personal trainer twice a week. I run. I do Peloton. I do cross. I do weights. I mix it up. Yeah. It's only for half an hour. It's not like hectic training, but it's enough.
So starting at 5 year training or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a question that's popped up from one of the top agents in Dubai, and actually I'm quite interested as well. What happens now that you've hit this certain crescendo of success and it's starting to fast track and you're getting thrown all these different opportunities? How do you decipher which opportunity to go for and not get overloaded with what's coming through?
That's a good question.
As in listing opportunities or other business
opportunities, investments, developments, whatever.
I've got guys that do that for me. So I've got a financial planner. He gets me into investments, shares. If I want to buy real estate, I'll buy that. I get calls every week about doing developments. I did it once, and I'm better off. I make more money. That 20% of my day wasting time on that is probably, if you work out 20% over a year, that's 50 sales. I'd make more money selling. So I've worked out that keep best at what I do. So I just don't do that.
Yeah.
I know that I'll make more money doing what I'm doing now, and I enjoy it more. Yeah.
Keep laser focused on what you're doing.
Yeah, and you've got to have, like, my team don't do any personal stuff for me. They don't get my dry cleaning or my lunch, or like, it's all just business. But I've got other people that help me with all that other stuff. Yeah.
And how do you manage burnout? Is it just
I don't
holidays?
get burnt out. Yeah, I'm lucky that.
Have you ever reached burnout? Ever?
Sometimes I think mentally, because you're like in December you can, but even in COVID when we didn't have any holidays, I didn't. I think you get burnt out if you like the wrong lifestyle. I think I used to go out a lot, like 10 years ago, have big nights. Like I don't do that anymore. Like if I did that now, you'd be burnt out.
Yeah.
Like so, it's knowing that I do between 8 and 12 week holidays each year. So we're only here for 80% of the year doing what we do. But also what stops that burnout is actually having a proper holiday. I divert my phone. So I was in Europe for 5.5 weeks. I got back a month or so ago, and I made about 25 phone calls in.
Wow.
Yeah. So we actually do properly. But it took me a week to decompress. Then a week you're like tired because your body's sort of changing, going, fuck, this is different. Then you need another 3 weeks to recharge. So you've got to make sure you have long breaks. So
Are you, on your breaks, are you still sticking to a routine of waking up, train?
Yeah.
So that's
like you're drinking more, eating more, but like every morning we train or play tennis or whatever it is. Yeah, that's part of what I enjoy about a holiday the most.
Yeah.
So out of curiosity, the question came through: if you were forced to take a month off real estate cold turkey and couldn't travel, what would your daily life consist of? Is it very similar to what you're doing on holiday?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just divert my phone and relax my house.
I guess in terms of the way that you holidayed, what I'm looking at the end of this year is I'm going to go away for 2.5 weeks, and then I'm looking at it. I'm not sure if I can take any more time off other than that. With your holidays, are you coming back and sitting it still at home, or is it just all overseas?
Always overseas. I can't, like with my phone, like I can't
switch off.
The reason why I have such good holidays is actually being on a different time zone. That's why I like Europe the most, because you get, if you go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, it's about 6 in the morning in Sydney, so you miss it. Then you get up at 7, you got 3 hours, and then Sydney's asleep. So that's I know I can tell you the exact time zones everywhere around the world because I know where I want to go and like how it works. So America's a little bit different. Like you get more like nighttime. It's we go skiing in America and whatnot. So it's definitely been on a different time zone. Definitely is probably the biggest advantage of it.
So if you was back in your 20s again, because I'm a 26, Alex, and there's a lot of our audience that are in their 20s that are looking to want to grow their careers, what advice would you give to your younger self back in your 20s, or people like us? What routine, structures, advice, lessons would you share?
I think these days the demographic is very different than when I started. Everyone wants to do fast track everything. You can't. There's no fast tracking getting experience. So like I hear it every day. Like we secure so many listings over other agents because they've had an offside. A young guy call a house in Bronte saying, I've got a buyer for 10 million. Can I show them through? Oh shit, you got a buyer, show them through. And then they call Alex going, mate, can you just come around and tell me what my house is worth? This guy's got a buy at 10. I say, well, it's probably bullshit. And no, your house is worth 8. And you need to tidy it up and you need to do this. And okay, thanks, Alex, here's a business. So these young guys are doing the wrong prospecting because they're opening up the door to everyone else. So why, if I was starting out again, I was starting in your office or buyer's agent, I'd be getting with a really good agent saying, okay, well, what do I need to do? How do I get better at my craft? The first thing you got to do is have the best product knowledge. Like you can't cold call this house tomorrow and go, oh, it sold for 11.8, and the neighbour goes, well, what did next door go for a year ago? Fuck, you don't know because you've only just started. So again, you're off the back foot. So firstly, you got to get the best product knowledge. you got to get the best product knowledge of what you're selling in your office, what other agents are doing, and the ins and outs of the demographic. Then go, okay, can I get a call list of a house that's sold similarly, and just start doing buyer work? And then that buyer work, that person goes, oh no, I need to sell first. Okay, great. Well, can we come out? Or not the prospecting that I see that still happens today that just does nothing. Like you're not offering anything, other than a lot of fluff. Where the good thing is when you're like starting out, you're calling, home pass, which is what we use, or old books, is if you're saying, oh, you're still in the market, we've got this, oh great, what do you have? Like you're actually offering something that they will take the call as well. Like you got to be, people are so time poor and savvy. They don't want the sales pitch. They want to know, okay, you're in, yep, I'm out and up, see you later. This is what we've got. Where do you live now? Are you ready to buy? Can we help you with finance? You need a buyer's agent, whatever it is. Like that is where you will, as a young person, build a good foundation of people following you.
It's true. What do you do to keep the listing volume up while you've actually got a lot of campaigns running, so you don't drop that ball?
Like I did this morning, prospecting when I can. Like I see, so most agents have these ebbs and flows. We're like very consistent. Like we probably average each weekend throughout the year, if you blend the 42 weeks of the year, probably about 25 opens, I would say, but it's consistent. At the moment, like 35, which is high. But we also, what people forget about, like I just had a look at my listing sheet. Out of the last 10 appraisals that we've been on, we missed 6. So our conversion rates is still like, that's quite high. We've missed a lot. But there's stuff that like you've been referred into, but they're already speaking to 2 other agents. You're like, fuck, okay, I'll do my best, but I'm probably going to miss it. I don't want to miss it, but I've got a chance, but it doesn't matter because I've got another 10 balls in there. That's what we're lucky. We've got enough balls in there that's going to happen, but we still do our best to list as many. But so answering your question, it's about making sure that you're still prospecting and doing everything while you're running so many campaigns.
What keeps you up at night that's not real estate? Does anything stress you out?
What keeps me up at night? No, I sleep well.
Yeah.
You can always have personal issues.
How do you deal with that when you're running such a fast-paced business?
You just, it gets blocked out.
Yeah. You just block that out?
Yeah. It's a good and bad thing, that.
Yeah. For example, if you were to get a night where you couldn't sleep, you're a bit stressed, anxious, do you change your routine, or will your routine?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, like if I would say, hey, you have to go out for dinner or something. I'd go, okay, no, I can't get up at 4. I'll go up at 5:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You got to have I normally have 7 hours sleep a night.
7 hours.
Yeah.
Are mentors important? And if they are, who are yours?
Your mentors are definitely really important. I've always, Josh Vegan is someone that I've used for 20 years. Ivan Brezic, I used to work with my brother Will.
That's who asked the question, actually.
Who?
That's who actually asked
Will?
the question. Yeah, Ivan.
Oh, good night. Lucky I said him. They are, because they sort of, particularly people that you aspire to or are good at what they do, they keep you level-headed, and they keep you pushing the boundaries, and trying to get better. Every day, as a human being, you want to try and better yourself, and I think that's having those mentors helps you do that. I think if you don't have some, I've seen it happen before. So I've seen guys that sell all their assets, like a house, and then their listings go from 50 down to 20 because they've got nothing driving them. They don't have someone making them accountable. But I make myself accountable. I'm lucky that I'm driven very much by goal. I'm very goal orientated, and we've got to hit the goals, and I've got, the whole team knows it. But if you don't have that plus a mentor and, that internal drive, you're going to stick on 10 to 20 sales a year, which some people are okay with.
Yeah. In terms of work hours, do you have a cut-off line where you go, yeah, I'm not going to have a booking appointment?
Yeah, after 5 normally.
After 5?
Yeah, I'm normally at home by 6.
Are you closing deals after that?
Yeah, the great thing, one last night we sold at 7:30 at night, but it's all DocuSign. It's all auction pay. The best thing, we're not running around. The best thing, we do all of our transactions on DocuSign, all our agency agreements on DocuSign. It's so far. Like we accepted a price last night on a house at 6 o'clock. In Bronte, it was exchanged by 7:30.
In terms of in terms of appointments, so if a client asks you, hey, I need you to come by at 7:30, I don't finish work until then, what do you do? What do you say?
I won't. I just won't go.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'll just push it off. And if I lose it, if it's a listing opportunity, I probably still wouldn't go.
Really?
I know myself. I'm just not going to be present.
Yeah.
Like I just won't do it. Yeah. I'll like if they're not willing to be pushed back on a time and meet us at a convenient time at some point in the next 5 days, they're probably not going to use you anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like if they're calling us and going, okay, not everyone knows who we are, what we're about, and like the profile we've got, which I get, that's fine. But if you can't, like, first I think when pushing back on people, they generally want you more. I find too.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
See, I hear a lot of like yourself and Alex Jordan and a lot of the really elite performers, and you all say the same thing. But I mentally in my head, I go, man, I don't want to lose this opportunity if they say no. And I feel like a lot of people.
You got to pick your battles. Like to me, something like that. If I did a 7:30 appraisal, would drain me out. I'm not going to sleep well. I'm going to be shit for the next day. Like it's like they've got the kids there, putting the kids to sleep. Like like that. I reckon like that's what gets you burnt out.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like that's how you get burnt out. Like you got to be able to control it. Say no, I'm not available. Then what are two? I always just say what's three options that work for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll give that a shot.
Yeah, it'll work. Yeah.
In terms of like kids and family, do you have
trying to have kids at the moment? Have a wife, but no kids yet. Yeah. I don't think it'll change much what I do though.
No.
Maybe. Oh no, that's what they say. That's what I say now, but probably not.
How long did it take you as a standalone agent to hit a certain level of success where you felt comfortable enough?
I never felt comfortable. I don't think for the first few years because I had an assistant very early on. I bought a house very early on. Probably that's where the drive was. Like being uncomfortable. I was never comfortable. I'm still not comfortable now because I want to keep. I think that's when you get comfortable. That's when you drop off and you lose that intensity. So
constantly put yourself.
Yeah, you got to be uncomfortable. Yeah, always. I reckon. Yeah.
In relation to your family's obviously you've got Will Phillips, that's obviously hitting great stuff over in Byron Bay now, and I believe your other brothers are doing quite well.
Yeah,
as well.
Too. Yeah.
Why is you see some families and they're just doing, they're enigmas in the marketplace. The whole family's doing really well. Why is your family being able to do that?
It's the upbringing we had, the parenting we had, the drive. Like when you're sitting in a car with. Growing up when you're 5 years old, 8 years old, and hearing your dad doing a deal, as you're driving up to the Gold Coast from Sydney, probably was ingrained in you.
Was he a real estate agent?
No, he was a car dealer. But and then he bought and sold earth moving equipment and then boats and did sort of lots of different things. So I think it's that. None of us went to university, bar one brother either. So we all went to private schools and everything, and it was probably more like we were. Like pushed and did your own thing. We weren't sort of steered one way. Yeah.
If you were to have a family, Alex, which it sounds like you're wanting to, and you had to pass down wisdom, but you couldn't pass down money or success tangibly, it would only be some wisdom or structures or framework. What would that be that you'd pass down?
Probably what I'm lucky about, find something that you're passionate about. Like it doesn't matter if you got to be happy with your life, and it's not about the money. Like so many people I see, like most of the guys in my school were a lawyer for 2 years and now they're running a cafe or something. So I think it's about finding what makes you happy, and then running with it.
With real estate, what would you say the passion is for you? Is it the passion of the volume and momentum of doing deals, or is it actually real estate or people? It's
probably everything. I probably do have ADHD or whatever. I'm like sort of always on the run, and like every deal's different, every transaction's different. It's not mundane. There's so many different opportunities, and it's probably just the hecticness of it, which sort of suits the person I am, I think.
My last question for you, if you were to give a newer team member that's just joined your team, whether it be in real estate or whether she hasn't previously, they're in a sales capacity, what would be your top 3 pieces of advice for someone new joining your team?
Top 3 piece of advice: get to know the area and the product knowledge better than anyone, is in everything, ins and outs of it. Learn, like sit next to and hear the dialogue of what we do, and like ask questions. Why did you ask that? Why did you speak to that person like that? What's the outcome you're trying to get? Like actually understand the why on what they're doing is super important. And like I say to everyone, it's like, be prepared. You're not going to be making money for 5 to 10 years. It's a long game.
Yep.
Take your time.
Yep. Awesome.
What about the same question, but for people that are already at the top 1%?
Don't get complacent. Keep trying to get better. Trying to like move with the times. You know, be ahead of changing markets.
What was your favourite dish when you were cooking back in the day?
My favourite dish, my brother would probably say snapper. Like,
Snapper?
yeah. That's a bit of a family joke, but yeah.
What was the joke about?
Oh, just because I did it every week. Yeah.
Legendary.
Yeah.
All right, done.
Fantastic.
Mate,
Thanks for having
you.
me, guys. Thank you very much.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.